Hello and welcome to the Salt City Gamescast. My name's Nick Naylor. This is episode 154. I'm a little congested. It's a peak pollen season.
Yeah, it sure is.
Welcome, Jared Olin sitting across from me.
Hey, Nick, your backyard was coomed on by a
It's
tree.
like there's literally like we have it in the calendar. We track it, right? It sometimes, which is actually kind of interesting because it shows up at different few days.
Yeah,
different from year to year. But it's literally it rains pollen. We're not talking about a little bit. We're talking about just piles and piles of allergy. You're just like, I shouldn't get Nick. That's fucking trouble.
Do you just go out in the middle of the night and like leaf blow all of the pollen into your neighbor's yard?
I leaf blow it every day, but I should put it into the neighbor's yard. The neighbor hates that tree. They've been cutting all the branches on their side down, and I'm like, hope this thing doesn't tip.
Yeah,
I got all the branches. You don't have any of the branches anymore.
Yeah,
like as a concern. But yeah, this is a rough fucking time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's Father's Day tomorrow. I just want to sit in the backyard and like read a book and drink a Mai Tai. And my wife's like, and have pollen fall on your face. Like, you're not gonna go out there, you weirdo. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, seriously, you're going to have to move that plan to indoors. Speaking of trees, I just had 2 very mature trees removed from my backyard, which has been actually...
Sucks that you lost those thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. It was not cheap, but it was more affordable than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Because they were like probably 50 or 60 feet tall.
It's pretty big. Why'd you get rid of them?
Because they like if there was a windstorm potentially they'd blow into our neighbor's backyard. So
sure.
We got rid of these 2, and like that whole process, like these fucking dudes, super impressive. Like I could never do that job. No way in hell.
It's pretty incredible watching them take down the tree. We had a massive one, and it was just like, oh, you were good at murdering trees. Look at you.
Yeah, it was like quite the operation, and they did it fairly quickly too. Like, I mean, it took them maybe half the day to get them both down. But we have my neighbor next to me's got these 2 super mature pine trees, and they're like right on the side of our house, and they're super big. So their branches have grown out like into my driveway. Mm-hmm. And they just dump pine needles all over in my gutters. And so I've got to clean them out 2-3 times a year, which sucks. It's not a good time. Mm-hmm. But the tree guys were just like, we'll just cut those branches down. Like, we'll just cut them off.
Nice.
And we were thinking about it, and we were just like, yeah, let's just roll the dice and see what happens. Mm-hmm. So we just straight up cut our neighbor's branches off of their tree, and they haven't said anything yet. So
I mean,
maybe they were like, it's cool.
I know a little bit about tree law.
Yeah.
Just because I have this fucker that's on the property line.
Yeah. Tree law.
So you can, I'm also on the arborist subreddit because that's where I get my info. So just
shut up, dude.
Listen, I have questions.
I need to educate myself.
I go ask. I have another tree that died, and then as it's growing from the bottom, I don't know how to do it. I'm just like, these fuckers probably know what's going on. But so anyway, you're fully within your rights to trim on your side.
Yeah.
But if you kill it, then it's your fault, and they can like sue you for a bunch of money.
Gotcha.
So you can do whatever the fuck you want. Just just
don't kill it.
Think of the life of the tree, I guess.
Yeah, it was pretty aggressive. We lopped off. They lopped off quite a few limbs of the tree, and those branches are no longer a consideration. So that's interesting to know. Thanks for that. Tree lawyer Nick over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, send in if you have questions. Join the Discord. Come on, we'll make a whole board for you. You come in here, we'll talk about trees. I don't know. You've brought a couple bottles of Heaven Hill whiskey over here. Mm-hmm. I really like that just says the sentence, this bourbon is 7 years old, like on the...
Yeah.
Say it on this one too.
I don't know if that one's age stated, to be honest with you. Yeah. So Heaven Hill, from the Heaven Hill Distillery, kind of, if you're not in the know necessarily, you might not really realize how big Heaven Hill is, but they're massive. Elijah Craig is Heaven Hill. A number of other brands kind of fall into their distillery, right? And I brought these 2 to kind of compare and contrast because the one that we're trying right now is their just basic Heaven Hill product, which at one point in time was like a exceedingly hard bottle to find, but it won a bunch of awards, and then they must have bumped up production significantly because you can find it even in Utah on the shelves all the time, and I think it's a fantastic for like just a everyday sipping whiskey. I think it's really, really damn good.
Do you know what like the MSRP on this is?
Yeah, it's like $60, 50 or $60.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I really like it.
What is not to derail us too much, but I have a somewhat limited understanding of what was bottled in bond. And these are bottled in bond, and it's like there's certain things they have to do with the government, and they I don't know if they're inspected or something. But my understanding is this was really it's like a thing that was needed a long time ago to make sure that you were getting what they were trying to sell you, right, or something along those lines. But as far as like in the year 2025, like, is this really a thing where like you're shopping and you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, bottled in bond, okay?
Yeah, we've went over this before on the show, Nick.
What?
Yes.
Fuck.
But just a quick rundown. So bottled and bond, they have to be stored in a bonded warehouse that is kind of monitored by the U.S. government, as far as I understand. Yes, it is a very old kind of like seal of quality, like Nintendo's seal of quality, but which we'll get into here in a second. But for bourbons in particular, one of the big things that bottled and bond guarantees you is at least 100 proof, right? So any bottled and bond product has to be at least 100. So those are some of the kind of benefits of bottled and bond. It's also guaranteed to be like a distillate from a not necessarily single barrel, but like smaller batch as well, right? Which you see that thrown around a lot in whiskey communities, or like on branding, like small batch, right? That kind of thing. So generally, like as far as I understand, the biggest thing in like modern times that is like a benefit is that they have to be 100
is that proof. All right. Well, I'm glad that I've been informed twice. I'll go for 3 for 3 maybe next year.
Yeah,
and we will just continue the fucking loop. Leave me alone.
Yeah, but what I thought I would do is just bring over two kind of variations. So the one that we're having now is like their baseline, easy to find product, and then that is far more expensive, far more hard to find,
a little bit stronger. And then kind of interesting, it's stating the distribution of rye, corn, and malt. I don't think we've had that since the Bardstown stuff we were talking about.
Yeah, grained glass, Heaven Hill grained glass is what we have, and I've been searching for it for a while, and the booze fairy shipped it to me. So it's like Christmas.
It is. I keep checking the. I haven't ordered anything else from the site, but I check it often just to be like, I don't know if it's actually true. They have like a thing. It's like, hey, newly arrived, but I don't know if that's. I don't trust anything.
Yeah,
it's just like all bullshit. Everything's always on sale on that site. It's like, it's not fucking on sale.
Yeah,
it's always on sale.
Yeah, I also saw. I know we're talking shit on the company that we have like supported.
I don't know. I think it's actually online retail in general, because everything you look at now is just like slash prices 30% off.
For sure.
Where's the original price fucking come from?
Yeah. Makes sense. There's a bottle of Hakushu. It's an 18-year, which is like a fucking hard bottle to find. And I saw like a listing for it come up in my email, and it was like on sale, and it was like $2,500, and I was like, that is not a sell price.
Bargain prices. Everything must go. Everything's got to get the fuck out of here. Well,
can't afford not to buy it.
So I guess this will just be an ongoing conversation as we move in and try the grain to glass as well. But yeah, this one's nice. I would buy it, especially for like $60.
Yep, it's good. You know, you're not going to feel bad about mixing it in a cocktail, but I do like it. Like, I think that it's just easy drinking, good quality bourbon for sure. They also make the Henry McKenna, which ironically you can find pretty easily in Utah, but in other places it's far more difficult to find. That's another bottle that I considered bringing over, but it's not Heaven Hill branded, but it is produced by Heaven Hill. So
a question about whiskey came up at my work, and someone was like, "You should ask your podcast person to see if he knows." So I swear to God, if I've already asked you this, I'm going to be real mad.
okay,
But,
okay.
it was a local distillery. I forget the name. It's not High West, but I was just talking to this employee, and they're like, "Yeah, they have the bourbon." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then they're like, "And then they have the American whiskey." And I was like, "What is it? Well, what is that?" And this is what we were talking about, because I was like, "I don't know what that is."
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know? Like, what if someone, if they're like, "It's American whiskey"? He's like, "Well, like, what is that?"
It's as far as I understand, it's the malting, right? Because you have to have like specific percentages
In bourbon.
of bourbon. Yeah.
Yes, fucking, I got it. I told them. I said the only thing I can think of is that there are very specific rules you have to follow, and the example I used was like bourbon. I believe bourbon uses the barrel once, and then they ship it to Scotland or something. And I
Yeah.
was like, maybe it's something like that, where hey, this doesn't fit in the box, but it's still fucking whiskey.
I think that it's more like the percentage of grains that are used in the distillation process. Like bourbon's got to be 50% corn, and then I don't know the other ones, but I know that that's one you have to hit certain thresholds in terms of
Sure.
the grains that you're using for it to be considered a bourbon, right? I think there's a misnomer because I think a lot of people think that like kind of like with Scotch, it has to be produced in Scotland in order for it to be considered Scotch.
Mm-hmm.
Not so with bourbon. Like a lot of people think like, oh, bourbon has to be produced in Kentucky to be considered bourbon. That's not true. It's just based around the percentages of the grains that you're using to produce the whiskey that will give you the designation of a bourbon. And American whiskey, I think it's just the Wild West. You can do whatever the fuck you want in terms of the mash bill to get whatever you're producing. So
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh, all right. Well, when I finish this, I'll pour this other one, and we'll keep talking about it. But there's a not E3 was going on in the last week, I guess. But I mean, it's borderline the biggest thing we got at this point. Summer Games Fest is happening, and there's a decent amount of things announced. Not everyone comes to play. Like Nintendo doesn't really do anything, and Sony did a I forget if it was a state of play or their two names, but they did one like 2 weeks ago to kind of preempt it. I I watched like the entire Xbox one, and I was like missing the old days of where we just got like 5 press conferences in 5 days when E3 was going. So I was a little bummed out about that, but I was I guess impressed by the number of announcements. Not necessarily games that they. I mean, I wasn't like jumping over like super excited, but there were some things. There were some things throughout that. I was those Plague Tale guys have another game coming this year. I'm not quite sure how they turn out their content this quickly. I just have to look at that. I mean, I've talked about 2 games on this podcast, and I feel like the last one was only, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before.
What's the studio? Is that Don't Nod?
No, it's not Don't Nod. Don't Nod had
another game. Yeah,
they had another game that looks somewhat interesting, but I'm not going to remember off the top of my head for the Plague Tale guys. But I will. I mean, I've really enjoyed those first two, so I would play one of those pretty much right away. There were a lot of rumors and hints about Silksong, and it did not show up.
Mm-hmm.
That the subreddit was really, they really thought it was coming. There's been a lot of updates, and they have confirmed this year.
Well,
again,
yeah,
like
and Sarah Bond, when they were talking about the hand, I think it was Sarah Bond when they were talking about the handheld. She said that it would be on the handheld when it comes out.
So. I'm wondering if it's just the next Nintendo Direct or something, and maybe they have an agreement with them, because I couldn't figure out, like, if you were Team Cherry, I was just like, well, like, what are you fucking waiting for to get, like, when you gonna give a date? And I'm pretty sure they have to give a date. As far as like Shadow launching it, they have I think it was the Kickstarter, or there's some sort of backer program with it. I didn't know there was, but anyway, they have to get addresses and stuff for where to send this stuff. So if they were to do a stealth or like a stealth drop, I think a lot of their biggest fans will be super fucking pissed because they're not going to have their shit because they haven't gotten that email that said, give us your address. But who knows? I guess bigger mistakes could be made. But I have a feeling, I guess, Nintendo Direct, they announce it and then it comes out 30 days later or something like that.
Or the same day. That would be huge. But that thing's got to come out. That's all it has to be coming out. Now we've got Nintendo talked about it in April when they showed off the Switch 2. And now Microsoft is talking about it as well as being a game that's going to be available when their fucking handheld thing comes out. So, yeah, excited?
Yeah,
question mark? I don't know.
I think it's going to happen. I think this year it just there's too much news. Not big news, just like rumblings, I guess, of things happening. People, the subreddit geeks out on it, and they're like, it was updated 5 different times. Look, they changed it from teen to rated teen. This is a sign. They're just looking for any sort of breadcrumb. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but I'm ready. Like it's certainly been long enough. Ready to fucking do it.
Definitely. But the problem with that thing is like it's gotta land. And on paper, I think we've talked about this a bit in the past, but it's like, what are the things that they can do to push that genre forward? Because I mean, yes, because it's been so long since I played the original Hollow Knight, like another version of that game is welcome if they come up with some cool stuff. But I feel like you have to have some really interesting ideas. And the fact that you're playing as Hornet, right?
Yep.
In this game, like at least in the first game, she had some really cool abilities and things like that when you saw her in action. So hopefully they really have expanded out the gameplay and there's some sort of unique hook, right?
I mean, the movement, I'm gonna say it wasn't good in Hollow Knight, but it was not the star of the show, right? And with Silksong, with how Hornet moves, it could be one of those where it's like, well, this is insane. How my just the way I can traverse through here.
Yeah.
Where Hollow Knight it wasn't that kind of game.
Yeah. So we shall see. That is a big question mark. What else?
The Resident Evil was not announced. They came out during the Xbox show. I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head. And he like went to him live and he's like, we are working on the next Resident Evil. I'm sorry, we are not ready to announce it at this time, but I promise you that you're going to blink and we're going to be ready to announce it. And literally 30 minutes goes by and they announce it at the end of the show, which decent troll. I'm fine with it. Like it's amusing, I guess. Hey, I'm on board. I wanted it to go to that girl. I believe it's that girl that was in the end of the young girl you save. I think.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Either way, it's a no-brainer, right? Like,
yeah. The thing that's interesting about that trailer, I think it's a good trailer, mostly. Maybe a little bit too much like people in offices talking, but
that was the that's still part of the troll, right?
Sure.
It seems like it was.
But there was images of Raccoon City with the crater where the nuclear bomb hit, right? Because that in the lore, that's what happens after the events of Raccoon City is they nuke the city, right? So you're seeing like the aftermath. And there was a lot of rumors that RE9 was going to be like open world. So the idea that like you're traversing like a blown up Raccoon City and you can travel around in different parts of the city or outside of the city, maybe to the mansion, that would be fucking cool. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But the last 2 games I've really liked. So I don't know why I wouldn't like this one.
Sure.
The last 2 like non-remakes. I liked the remakes a lot too, but the last 2 proper new titles were pretty good. Village kind of went places that I was like not completely on board with. Satellite laser beams on werewolves at the end of that one. That was a choice that they made.
Some good shit.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, overall the last 2 have been pretty good. So
they also announced and released. Well, they didn't announce it. They'd already kind of talked that Lies of P was going to have DLC, and they said, "Hey, here it is."
Yeah,
and they released it. And then I realized my massive fuck up, and that when I played Lies of P, I really liked the game, so I started a new game plus.
Oh,
And I played till chapter 4, I think. There's about 11 or 13 chapters. This DLC, you have to be to chapter 9.
oh,
And even if you're on New Game Plus.
gotcha.
So I have to chug through. And I did make pretty fast progress playing the game back when I was in New Game Plus. But I'm a little irritated about that.
Mm-hmm.
I would like, I don't know, fucking, I haven't played it, but like, it's a prequel. I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how they're weaving it into the story.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have to get to chapter 9 to play a prequel DLC?
Yeah, that's
what
weird.
the fuck are we doing here?
I mean, I've seen people saying like that it's really kind of kicking their ass too.
They've said they're probably going to nerf it because they're like, this is a big fucking problem. Like, people are like, this is so fucking hard. No, I was trying to think of what else I saw. Like, they announced a ton, but not. You care about those Street Fighter 6 characters?
Yeah, I mean, I care about them. I mean, the Kenny Omega reveal was pretty funny to me. It was also funny because there was like a bunch of transphobes and haters that were like criticizing it because Kenny Omega, the professional wrestler, dressed in drag to like show off the characters.
Okay.
But it's pretty standard list of characters with the exclusion of Ingrid, which is a character that was like basically a failed character that showed up in like one of the last versions of Alpha 3 that people never really like. So the fact that she's back, this is going to be the first time that she's been in a game since then. It's an odd choice. Nakayama and the team must really like the idea of Ingrid. So we'll just have to wait and see. A lot of people, she was basically a carbon copy of a character called Athena from The King of the Fighters. And people don't really like that character. So people are just kind of like thinking how she's going to function with like Drive Rush and things like that in 6. And so people are kind of upset about that one. But then you got Sagat, which is a fucking no-brainer. Always Sagat. Yes, happy about that one. They showed off a little bit.
Kind of crazy that he's not in it yet.
Yeah, for sure. They showed off he's going to be the first character that's released in this DLC. And the little bit that they showed of him in game looks pretty cool. Then we got Sea Viper, which is a character that I don't really care for, and she hasn't been in a proper fighting game. Well, like a proper Street Fighter since Street Fighter 4. She's an incredibly technical character, and there's some really cool things that you can do with her in 4. She was maybe the most technical character in the game. So I think that that's promising for people that are really into a lot of the things that she could do in 4 with the Drive Rush system. And then you got Alex, which there's not a lot of grapplers in the game. Alex was in 5. He's in 6 now again. Not my, outside of Sagat, the rest of the choices, I was just like, nah. Like some of them, I mean, Ingrid could be cool. Viper will be cool. Alex, I'm not convinced. So, yeah.
I think at the end of the day, this show is just, it's kind of made me just fully realize we're the state of the industry, I guess. It's just different. Like, we just don't get the types of huge announcements that are just piled on top of each other. It seems like a lot of people lose their job every other month in this industry at the moment. So it's kind of in a weird place for like the big AAAs that we were used to just getting like a lot of announcements. And obviously Sony and Nintendo aren't here, but that's probably part of what's missing, because if they had also showed up and brought their heavy hitters, then we would suddenly have a decent amount of games to talk about. But instead, Nintendo will do their Nintendo Direct in 30 days or 2 months or something, and just control the narrative so they don't get lost.
Yeah, probably sooner rather than later. I would expect maybe one more trailer of that Donkey Kong before it comes out. So
I think I saw that they usually do June directs.
Yeah.
My daughter's watching a lot of that Donkey Kong thing. It was like a 20-minute treehouse video, and she's like, "This thing looks good, Dad."
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. Well,
we got to talk about Tokon.
What's that?
Marvel Tokon.
Oh,
the Arc System Works game.
That thing looks cool.
It does. Yeah. Huge question mark there. I think like that thing has like ignited the FGC.
Arc System Works, are they the Guilty Gear?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they did Dragon Ball Fighters as well,
right,
but they're most known for Guilty Gear. But yeah, obviously anybody that knows kind of the history, Marvel Tag Fighters have exclusively been Capcom's kind of bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a lot of fans, and so the fact that
Are there any Marvel fighting games that Capcom was not part of?
yeah,
There are. Okay.
yeah, for sure, back in the past. But I think the most well-loved fighting games that have come out have all been Marvel versus Capcom and Capcom produced games,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So, excluding Infinite, which was the last game, that was an absolute stinker and just did not land and was like half baked, would probably be an understatement. So, the fact that Arc Sys comes out and they've got a 4v4 tag fighter, which kind of is like stealing the shine because that was everyone's kind of desire, because like Marvel vs. Capcom 1, the original, was two characters, and then Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was 3 characters. So, and then Infinite, they didn't do four characters at a time, or in a team. And now Arc Sys is doing a 4 character fighting game. It seems like, look, I'm not like,
So you got 4 people waiting in reserves there?
yeah, you got 1 on screen with 3 in reserves, and you'll be able to tag them in and do all sorts of different things.
And you can choose which one comes in.
Yeah. Presumably. I mean, I haven't played it, but I would
Not
assume.
random.
No, I'm pretty sure that there are going to be button combinations that will
Inputs
pull
or
out
something
a
that
specific character. Yeah, that's typically how tag fighters work at any rate. But
that's a lot to learn, because
yes,
you've got to know 4.
correct. You have to know
you've got to
4
feel
characters.
pretty good with 4 characters.
Yep. And you also don't need to know the synergies of the team and how their tag abilities kind of synergize with one another. So it's a lot to learn. That's like one of the biggest hurdles that any tag fighter goes through is like, a Street Fighter, it's like, I need to learn this character's kit. And in this case, I got to learn 4. They did say that there were going to be some systems in place that are going to make it easier for people to kind of digest having that amount of characters, which, in theory, you probably think of like some sort of like system like the classic or the modern controls in Street Fighter 6, where they dumb down inputs for people that maybe just want to dip their toe. But then for like the sicko weirdos that this game is designed for, it's probably just going to be, you got to learn the characters and learn how they function. But it looks great. And, I am shocked that this happened. Like, it kind of insane, because like, what the fuck? Like,
The art style looks really good.
it does. A lot of people thought like after they done like some compilations with like Marvel versus Capcom compilation, and then Capcom Fighting Collection 2 that just came out recently, which is pretty good. We didn't talk about it on the show, but it's pretty good. And during that period of time when they released those games, there were people at Capcom being like publicly being like, the future's bright for Marvel versus Capcom. And like, we don't have anything to announce, but the relationship obviously is somewhat functioning, because they would have to go to Marvel to get those rights to release some of those older games again. So the fact that this comes out of nowhere and like the idea of like a Marvel versus Capcom and then Tokon kind of predating on one another does not make sense from Marvel's perspective. So realistically, it's probably going to be quite a while until Marvel vs. Capcom comes back.
And when is this supposed to come out? This year?
Next year, 2026. Okay. And like, again, they're going to do a good job. It's going to be fucking sweet. I have no doubt about it. They always make great fighting games. So I'm excited for that perspective, but it is kind of a bittersweet moment where it's like,
that type of game could have a lot of legs just because of the property, right? Like, it's an unlimited amount of characters that you bring in.
Definitely. So, but that was really it. That's all I really want to talk about for there. My overall take was like an oversaturated kind of samey presentation from a lot of these companies, with like a lot of very similar games, a lot of Souls likes, which is fine. Souls likes are fun if they're done well, but just not a lot of very unique ideas outside of a couple of games that were showed off. And just like, I just think like creatively, a lot of these trailers were like using similar music that they've used in previous trailers. I think like
they're all part of the same focus group.
Yeah. People were like talking about the use of the Mad World, like the slowed down Mad World from REM that was used in a trailer this year. Was historically a Gears of War trailer.
You can't use that. You just can't use it again. I like when they used it for, I think it was Gears 2.
Yeah.
It was great. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome. And then it was kind of so awesome that I just don't think you get to ever use that song again.
I can't remember what
for a
game used it, but they used it this year.
Oh, I know they did, because I remember being like, no.
Yeah,
No.
it just felt like sign of the times in terms of where we're at with the gaming industry, and like there are some troubling trends, and I mean that's just the reality. So moving on.
Moving on. Hey, I did have this this grain of glass. This thing's interesting. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Into it. But the Switch 2 came out.
Yeah, it did.
And we've been waiting for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
We want to start with kind of the hardware, I guess, a little bit, just like how this thing feels. I like the screen. Screen's a little bit bigger. I mean, it's definitely bigger than the Switch. I haven't held it up to the Steam Deck, but
I think it's bigger than the Steam Deck as well.
I'm into those how those Joy-Cons connect. Like it feels good, feels pretty solid. I like that. I don't like playing with Joy-Cons, so I swapped those out on the last one. So my biggest question right away is, what's the deal with third-party peripherals, and how are they going to be able to interface with this, and are they going to feel real good? Because this thing, I've heard some people say they like it. It's flat on the back, and I can't, like, there's like no curvature I'm not holding a grip.
Yeah.
And it's kind of feels tough, but I haven't played anything with enough time. Mm-hmm. Like, I was thinking about Silk Song, actually. I was like, where am I going to get that? I'm like, I could maybe get it on the Switch. And then I was like, man, I'm playing it with these. And do I want to do that? I don't know. So, what do you think?
Overall, like, pretty underwhelming. I feel like it feels a lot more premium, for sure.
It feels more solid than the first Switch.
Like, the first Switch kind of feels like a toy.
Yeah.
And this feels like a proper fucking solid handheld. It's got good weight, I feel like. The screen is big, and the screen is nice. It is a very modern LCD display. I've done a lot of deep diving on this, like Digital Foundry and things like that, to kind of educate myself on this. The screen is like, and I did this because I've got a original Switch, launch Switch, and then I've got an OLED Switch, and now I've got the Switch 2. So I kind of did a compare and contrast on all of them. And when you compare this screen to the original Switch, the first Switch that came out back in the day, noticeably better across the board, right?
Nice.
It's a much more modern screen. But then when you compare it to the OLED screen, that's where you run into some issues, because one of the big selling points for this new hardware is a lot of HDR support. And the problem with this screen is it does not get nearly bright enough to really fully utilize HDR features. And so a lot of people that are very nerdy about this kind of stuff are extremely pissed and disappointed because it just doesn't get bright enough. And you really that's one of the biggest selling points for an OLED screen, is they get super fucking bright, and you just don't have that with this screen. So that's concerning and kind of a big bummer. I think, like,
we know that's coming, right? In 18 months or
100%.
Like,
and that's just disappointing, because it's like, it's a premium price tag. This is no longer like an affordable, for a lot of people, it's no longer an affordable platform. And you're kind of nickel and diming when it comes to the screen. Like, it should have had an OLED. It should have been a good sized OLED. I mean, that should have been like at R&D points, they should have said, we've already got a product on the market with an OLED screen. And so it does feel a bit of like, I do like the size of the screen. It looks very nice. And like, noticeably when you're playing the games on it, you're like, this screen's really sweet. Like, I really like it. But if it doesn't get bright enough and it can't utilize like one of the biggest features that they have like pushed with the HDR, it's just kind of fucking like a half measure. And that's super disappointing. The Joy-Cons, I do really like. It's very satisfying. I was a little concerned. We talked about like, and we still will have to wait and see with like how those magnets hold up over time and how well they stay on the Switch. But out of the box, those things are super strong magnets that fit on that Switch, and there's not a lot of like give from the Joy-Cons.
They don't feel like they're coming off.
No, unless you press the button
in any way. Um, kind of a weird critique, but I never I never complained about the previous dock tipping over. And I don't know if it was because of how the wires came in. It was just never a thing.
Mhm.
The dock was just there.
Mhm.
And I something about this dock and the way my HDMI cable is coming in, it's frequently just on its side when it doesn't have a switch in it. When it
Hmm.
doesn't have the weight,
Yeah.
I'm just like, huh.
Maybe your cables, because I haven't had that
It's
issue.
kind of annoying. Well, and I'm sure it's the angle of where, like, it's just like,
Yeah.
but anyway, it's a
Um,
somewhat amusing. You know what's a bummer? And it's fine. Like, UIs are what they are. But you like want a shiny new dashboard, right? Like you get a new console and you're
Yeah.
like, let's go check it out. And you open it up and you've already done the system transfer and you're like, ah, fuck, this looks exactly like the
Yeah,
exactly like the Switch one.
it's exactly the same.
And
There's no
it's
noticeable difference.
which, I mean, it's fine. Like I'm here to play games on it, but I also like to have the shiny new thing. And
Mhm.
this is just the same
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, and like I mean, very clearly that they wanted it to be like from a continuity perspective. I guess
Seamless
it's good.
transition, yeah.
But yes, I'm on board with you. We got to go back to the Joy Cons though.
Okay.
There's more problems with the Joy Cons. I don't know if you've read anything about this, but obviously there's been quite literally class action lawsuits in relation to the original Switch's Joy Cons and the stick drift.
And
right?
they didn't fix it. And there's already stick drift on these ones.
It's the exact same thing. Like people that basically just buy these products to tear them down. Also, people that do this are saying that this console is one of the hardest systems to tear down, and it's like prohibitively so, which makes sense because Nintendo
They
is
don't want
just
you in there.
gross. It's
Yeah.
super gross, but they literally use the same component.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of arguments were, well, Hall effect sticks use magnets. So the thought process is that Hall effect sticks would interfere with the magnets that are actually on the Joy-Con. And so maybe that's the reason why they didn't use Hall effect sticks.
I mean, those are small. There's not a lot of space.
Right. But the fact that these will inevitably, no doubt, have the same issue and they're going to have to go through the same process that they did with the original Switch, and compound on the fact that they're $100 fucking now, is completely unacceptable to me. Like this is not I mean, it is iterative and they're moving the needle forward in a lot of ways from like a processor and GPU perspective, which is great. But the fact that these fuckers are not changing anything in like when it comes to like known fatal flaws of the previous hardware and just being like, it's actually better. And that they're like, it's actually better this way. Like, let them fucking sue us. We're Nintendo. We have fucking billions of dollars in the bank.
It's just
like
that
we'll sell more Joy-Cons because most people are not going to spend the time to like ship them back to have them fixed. Like most of the people are just going to buy more Joy-Cons, and that is fucking gross. It's
like,
so gross.
My examples maybe not perfect, but like Nintendo just does whatever the fuck they want, right? And it's like, if you can imagine with that 360 where you had the 3 rings of death, right?
The red ring of death. Yeah.
So can you imagine if the next Xbox console had the same warning type system? Like, because they just knew, right? They're just like, well, look, we got to move on past the rings of deaths. Whatever our error code is, it's not going to be that, because that was some bad press. And Nintendo's like, fuck them. It doesn't matter.
It's just fucking completely unacceptable. The new CEO and then Doug Bowser, who I didn't realize is an ex EA exec,
right?
Which is like these guys are. I watched a really good video on like kind of Iwata's vision and Reggie's visions when they were in charge of the company. And you can say what you want about those two because they weren't perfect. But then you look at these other two and it's just like, since those two have taken over, things have changed drastically in Nintendo. And I think this is a perfect example of it. It is no longer like, let's make something that's really going to push things forward and make it better for our consumers. It's just like, let's cut corners and do the bare minimum and fuck them because they're going to buy it anyways.
And that's the thing, right? Is this actually going to hurt them?
No,
because,
well,
Is it going to get mainstream enough to actually hurt them? Because
It could go one of two ways here, man. Like it really could. I think that there is a potential for them to. I mean, it had a great launch, the best launch in history,
Yeah.
right? But that's not necessarily indicative of like a overall health of a lifespan of a console, right?
Sure.
There could be a scenario in which this price is just not great, and then they're cutting corners with their games. Like if the game quality falls off a cliff, which if you look at original Switch, far less. I was blew my mind, but there was literally 22 new first party Nintendo games in the Switch's history. 22 new ones, right? And then the rest were just remasters of games that had come out on previous hardware, right?
It blew your mind that it was only 22?
Yes, that is a shockingly low number to me for an entire life cycle, especially of a console that came out in 2016, right?
I want more data. I want to know the Wii number. We don't need to know the Wii U number. I want to know the Wii number.
Yeah, no, that would be nice. But I mean, as far as I understand, it was lower than previous generations, right? Considerably lower.
I saw a fantastic headline that said the Switch 2 has only managed to sell 30% of the lifetime Wii U sales, or something like that.
So there is a possibility. Like I'm not saying it's a likely possibility, but I think that it is a possibility if they do not deliver on the game front, where people that are sitting at home with their Switches are like, well, how many of these games are coming to Switch? One, which excluding the obviously Mario Kart and then Donkey Kong, those are the only two that have been slated for Switch 2 exclusivity. The rest of like new games that are coming out, Metroid and the new Pokemon, those are both going to be on Switch, right? So
I don't know if it matters.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't know if it matters just because of where the industry's heading with these iterative upgrades, like the PS5 Pro and things like that. Like they're gonna keep making things on the old Switch as long as they can drag it out, and they're gonna run like dog shit.
Yeah,
and that's probably like, I mean, you already know the new Pokemon's not gonna run on the old Switch. It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the name of the game. Although I wish it wasn't like that. I wish it was just like, oh yeah, we're not developing down at all. It's just not the world we live in anymore. So it's like, okay, well, whatever. So I'm kind of okay with it, especially like that. I think that Metroid's supposed to run really well. So hopefully, if that comes through, then I'll be fine.
Yeah, my thing is like, I'm not saying that it's gonna like ruin Nintendo. I think that that's pie in the sky.
Yeah.
What I am saying is, can you expect the same success that Nintendo has had with the original hardware, the original Switch? And that remains to be seen, because unless there is those solid selling points for people where it's like, X game is not coming out on the original Switch and it's a system seller. I mean, you could argue, I mean, definitely not even an argument. Mario Kart for a lot of people is that system seller, and it's already there. But for a lot of people, I don't think that that's the game that they're looking for. That's going to really drive them to purchase the hardware. So, yeah.
But I think, I mean, we've talked about that 3D Mario, and I would be shocked if by the end of next year we haven't played that.
Right.
So then you get that next year, and then I don't know if the following year could be a Zelda year, if that's even possible, or if it's further out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other Fire Emblems and everything baked in there, and who knows where Xenoblade falls? Maybe that thing's still a few years out, but they've got a lot of stuff. They have things they can line up. It's just, are they going to be fast enough to make this thing fly off shelves?
Yeah. I guess we could talk about
there'll be a new Splatoon, right?
They already announced a new something.
Like that thing. I don't want to play another Splatoon. I've played the first two and I think it's fun, and then I play it for 3 hours and then I'm done.
Yeah, this week they announced like 3 is getting an update of some sort, free update apparently, to run better on the Switch 2, and then they also announced a single player game that's coming out.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I mean, I think they've done really well with that franchise, so I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, it's good. I like Splatoon.
It's fun. It was all, every time I played it, I'm like, this is fun, but I just.
Some people are crazy about it, though. Yeah. Some people, like, there's like sweaty competitive Splatoon players.
Well,
should we talk about like how things run better?
Well, yeah, for sure, because that was one of the things I did immediately. I had an option. I could like do their top line subscription, and then I could get the upgrade packs free.
Mhm.
And I chose not to do that, so I paid $10, and I got Tears of the Kingdom, and I booted it up, and
Did you
yeah,
download the app,
the
the phone app? Did you get it?
I have the Nintendo app.
No, it's the specific Breath of the or the Tears of the
No,
Kingdom app that
no,
tells you where all the Korok seeds are. The
uh,
GPS.
oh, that's cool.
You gotta. No, it's not. You could download it and report back to
Okay,
us.
all
I don't
right.
think it's cool at all.
Uh,
It's pretty silly. There's
okay,
like a lot of funny memes about it,
all
but that
right.
was like one of the big selling points.
I'll say I did not play a lot of Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch too, but I absolutely started up and ran around and was like, oh fuck yeah, yeah, this thing, um, it's running at a higher frame, and that's really what it needed, and things are a little crisper, I guess, and I'm excited. I'm excited to for my daughter to learn how to read and potentially be able to have her play these games because there's a lot there. So I'm excited about that. There are, and then I wanted more from the Xenoblade games, and I haven't really gotten it. I think X runs and looks better.
Did you try the Xenoblade
No, I did
games?
not.
Oh, okay.
But I read about 3, and there's a problem in that it was rendering to the wrong resolution on the Switch.
Yeah.
And now it's getting fucked up on the new Switch. So it's actually like a lot of people are like, this isn't better. This is actually a little worse. Like there's some issues here. So it needs a patch, is from what my understanding.
That is by and large the issue that many games are having, not just Xenoblade, is that it's because the resolution is different on the Switch 2, it is downgrading the visual fidelity of these old Switch games.
Great.
They run better, so they run like they're at a higher frame rate, but visually downgraded.
That's
So it like that most likely, if you're betting, that's going to get patched at some point. Like,
but is it individual patches for every game? Because then you're saying, well, am I is the patch I'm waiting for going to
Mhm,
show up?
mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. There's also like a bug in the UI right now where if you're running games docked and you've got the
Mm.
120 hertz mode set on certain TVs, it won't recognize it, or I should say certain games won't recognize it. So it's displaying at a lower hertz rate and it shouldn't be. And so it's like a lot of confusion there,
Hmm.
which is like significantly downgrading the visual fidelity on a TV. There are certain games that don't have that issue, like Mario Kart in particular doesn't have that issue. But Street Fighter in particular, Street Fighter 6 has this known issue. And so there are people being like, and it's clearly like some sort of bug or like the oversight that they just didn't catch, and it'll get patched, I'm sure. But like,
Bunch of people super excited to play Street Fighter 6 on the Switch too.
no,
I doubt it. Is it a fucking draw? What do we?
I doubt it. I don't know, but people, some people are crazy and just buy every game that launches, and so yeah. I mean, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back when it comes to this. The silver lining is that I would foresee this not being an issue maybe 6 months to a year down the line when it comes to the old Switch games, but the performance or the frame rates, which matter more to me than the visual fidelity in handheld mode, truly it is across the board in most cases much better.
Yeah.
And so that's what I care about. Like, we're not at the point in time where it's reasonable to think that you're going to get the same visual fidelity that you would on a TV. Like, that's just not something that's going to happen. So yes, like for, people that are very particular, this could probably be very annoying where you're like, this looks worse, but like, I don't really care about the graphics as much as the game running at a solid 60 to 40 to 50 frames a second. That's what I care about more.
I agree, except in the case of, I guess, Xenoblade 3, because they had like resolution drops. Like it wasn't just frames. It was like, oh shit, it's muddy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh no.
So like the frames are fine. It's just the visuals that are downgraded.
Sure.
So it's running at a steady frame rate as far as I understand. It's just it doesn't look as crisp as it did on the Switch. Which it's like, again, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You got to fucking fix that.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. I had a great prank for you, and then it didn't ship on time, and so I canceled it.
You had a what?
I had a great prank for you. I
Okay.
had a gift.
Okay.
I had the fucking flower camera, but I wanted it here
Oh my God.
to give you, and it didn't. It's not here.
The
So
piranha plant.
and the reviews on that are that the resolution is from like the 90s, and
Yeah.
it's just absolute dog shit. Also, the camera functionality, which I knew this immediately, it doesn't fucking work. No one's sitting like everyone's not sitting at a desk. So people are setting up these cameras and they're 15 feet away, and it's just it's a stupid thing, and it's a dumb gimmick.
Increasingly stupid that there is literally a button on the Joy-Con for this functionality.
It's a weird deal, but they did release Mario Kart World,
Yeah,
and
they did.
I have expressed my concerns about how I feel about Mario Kart before today,
Mhm.
and all of them are still here. I'm just not particularly. I'm having fun. I'm playing with my daughter. It's fun to play Mario Kart. Generally, I'm like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
but it's just their games don't have the hooks that can get in me where I'm like, I have to do this. I have a checklist. I have to 100% all this stuff, and even more so, they've got this free roam mode, which is somewhat interesting. There's a lot of challenges and stuff, but not a good carrot on the stick for me to say do all the challenges. Like, I don't understand. Like, you fucking can't be like, if you do this challenge, Mario's hat turns fucking rainbow. Like what? Like the rewards aren't there.
Yeah, you get stickers. That's all you get.
I can't even fucking believe it that you can. It would be extremely compelling to want to do all this shit if I had something
Mhm.
that was better than like a sticker, or that's a bummer because immediately as I start to go through it, because my daughter will be like, you do the challenge and I'll do like the P-switch thing, and some of them are hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, this would really be a nice thing. I'm like, oh, do I have to do 120 of these or something?
Yeah.
No, I don't even, it doesn't even track. Does it even track how
No.
many? Like,
Nope.
it doesn't even tell me. I go out and I go to the map and it's like, you've done 6 of them. And I'm like, well, how many are there? How many in each region? Have I done them all in a region? Like, I don't think any of that info is there.
It is not.
What the fuck are we doing?
And I don't know.
I don't. And like the world is all fine. Like for like a Mario Kart open world thing, you're like, there's shit. Like this is fine. Like this is all good, I guess. It's just they do not understand how to make a carrot on a stick and make me just like obsess about doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Not doing it. There's no fucking way.
It feels like this was like a last minute addition.
Well, it's not even in the menu. You have to start. It's weird.
Right.
It's like
Because it's so underbaked in a lot of ways. Yes. I think driving around the open world is interesting and it is large. I mean, it's a big area.
It's made by the Xenoblade guys,
and all
who
of
apparently make all of the worlds for all Nintendo games now. They're gonna release fucking Metroid, and then a week later they're gonna be like, "Oh, Microsoft made this world too."
Yeah. It looks really nice, and it's full of like Nintendo charm. I will say that the soundtrack in this game, especially specifically when you're in free roam, is fucking fantastic. It's like a who's who of iconic Nintendo music remixed, and it is great. If you have like any experience with Nintendo over the years, you're going to find a tune that you're like, oh yeah, this is from Yoshi's story back in the day, but now it's jazz or whatever, which is really cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, like the challenges are fun. They're a good time. And you know, some of them, you're right, are very hard.
I don't know if I've ever beaten one on the first try.
But yeah, the reward for getting those done is a sticker that you can put on the side of your car. And yeah, the fact that there are no ways to track. It doesn't
even tell you what you unlock when you do it.
Yeah, no.
It literally just says you completed a challenge. It doesn't even say you unlocked the fucking dick sticker. It doesn't do any of that.
Well,
shit.
No, it shows you the sticker. It says like mission completed, and then the sticker shows up on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Yeah. So the sticker shows up when you complete it. But like it's not enough. And then so the other thing that you're working towards, so character unlocks are all through
racing.
the Grand Prix. You beat the Grand Prix once all the way through. You beat all of the missions, you get all the characters. And then the next thing you can unlock is just costumes. And there is a shitload of costumes. Some of them are great, I will say, and then some of them are pretty shitty. And the way that you unlock the costumes is annoying as fuck because you go to these restaurants, Yoshi restaurants on the open areas. You could do it in races as well, but if you really want to get a lot of the costumes, most people are going to free roam mode. And then you go to these restaurants, these Yoshi restaurants, and you eat food. And when you eat food, it changes the character's costume. And then once that costume is changed, it unlocks for you. And then you can select it at any time.
That's why I got like 4 Peach costumes, and I wasn't playing. Ava was, so I was just like, I logged in. I was like, why do I have so many Peach costumes? What about anyone else?
Yeah. The problem with that is there's no way to track that either. So there is like a fucking Excel spreadsheet online. You can go and like you have to eat specific food, and specific food spawns in specific areas of the map. And certain characters, if you get that food, it won't give you a new costume. So you have to look and like kind of match up like, okay, I'm playing as Wario. I'm in fucking the great question mark block plane or whatever.
Yeah, but guess what?
How many foods can I eat here that will give me a new costume? None. Okay, I got to scroll down and find the area that gives me the food that will give me a new fucking costume. You can't track any of it in the game.
You don't have to do any of that, Jared.
What do you mean?
You just don't have to do it.
What?
You just don't.
Why?
Because you don't need to do it.
Yeah, but I like the costumes.
But you don't need. But you're not going to play this game enough to do it. You just don't need to do it.
Well, if I'm playing the game, I'm going to try to do it, Nick. And right now, I'm currently playing it.
Okay, all right.
And I'm generally having a good time with the game. But yes, the free roam mode is just so half-baked. It could have been very, very cool, but you needed more content and more like good content here to kind of drive you forward, to check boxes. And it just doesn't have that. So a lot of times you're just driving around aimlessly, hoping that you're like, oh, is there a P block that I haven't seen here? No, I've done all of them here. But there's no way to fucking track it. It's infuriating.
I'd love to say, because this happens with games all the time. And there's a lot of games that launch in a state that doesn't work. And they, over a number of years, they really solve a lot of problems. That's kind of the thing that happens these days.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily happen with Nintendo. You don't know what you're going to get. Maybe they're going to flesh this out. Maybe they're going to work on it. Maybe they're going to add some of these things, or maybe fucking not. Maybe they're going to add courses and characters and not actually change any of the free roam.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if there's one game that you would think that Nintendo would invest that time in, it would be this one, because like, presumably it will be around for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, like before a new Mario Kart even comes around. So it's like, that's a lot of time.
I stopped trying to predict what they did after, I think it was like Animal Crossing was out for like a year, and they were like, no more updates. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, what?
Right.
You don't understand what you have here? Like, what do you mean no more updates? You could sell ties and people give you money.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Especially during COVID.
What the fuck are you
when the last one
no
dropped.
more updates.
Yeah, so that's disappointing. The other things that are here,
Knockout.
Oh yeah, the Knockout Tour is the new feature.
Full on new mode that's kind of interesting. I have done it by myself online. I've done it just against NPCs with my daughter.
Yeah.
That's the one where it's basically like, it's a long race, but you get to certain checkpoints and it's like, you have to be in 20th or above. You have to be in 16th or above. And then you have to keep going. And then I think at the end, it's like 4th place and above. I thought that's an interesting mode. I thought it was kind of a fun mode. Played it with, and we both got all the way to the end. And then I played it online only once. And I took 3rd, and I was like, it's kind of fun. I think I don't like competitive Mario Kart, and I don't think it's very fun. Question mark. Like it's.
Yeah, I think you would be in the minority with that opinion.
It's
there are people that absolutely fucking love it and go crazy about it.
I don't quite get it, because like, especially with this one, there's 24 fucking racers, and it's absolute chaos, and chaos can be fun. It's not that there's not fun there. It's just like, I'm just like, I don't have this. There's nothing compelling me to be like, I want to try to get really fucking good. I'm like, this is just kind of a shit show. And then once you're in first place, you're going to get fucking bananas and coins and never anything else because of the puppet master in the background. And I don't like how severe that works, where it's just like, yeah, once you're in 1st to 3rd, you get nothing, absolutely nothing. And that's just like, well, I don't like it. I think they make it too so everyone like first place gets fucked on all moments of the race.
Yeah, that's
I
been a
don't
big
know.
criticism of like diehard fans of Mario 8 Deluxe was the fact that 150cc is the highest category in this game. 200cc was in 8, and people are really pissed off about that. But because of that, you don't really have like the ability, because the blue shell is always going to fuck you. Like that's going to fuck you. I mean, and a couple of other items are going to fuck you as well, but primarily
Unless
the
you're
blue
playing
shell.
offline and you rewind.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
true.
weird
You
feature.
can rewind, which is hilarious.
You can avoid blue shells offline.
Yes, that's true. Which they don't explain that at all.
No.
But you can do it.
It's pretty funny. Like it's pretty funny to see a blue shell show up above you and then you pull rewind, and yes, you go backwards, but you don't lose any of your momentum.
Right.
And it's a good thing you can't do it in multiplayer.
Yeah. But people are pissed off about that because in 8, a lot of people are like, yeah, like you could straight up, like if you were skilled enough, you could get a good lead. And then as long as you knew the right lines and played well, you potentially could maintain that lead. Does not feel that way right now, where if you're in first place, especially when you're playing online, there's always going to be someone relatively close to you, even if you're playing perfectly. And then when those blue shells hit you and fuck you up, unless you have an item that can negate a blue shell, which there are.
Where would you have gotten that fucking item if you're in first place?
Right,
though?
right,
it's
exactly.
Never gonna happen.
You're kind of fucked, right? So people are frustrated about that. People that really love Mario Kart are very frustrated about this game overall. There are like. And I kind of feel the same way. I'm not a diehard Mario Kart fan at all. But like when you compare it to older games, there's just a lot of puzzling decisions. Like the knockout mode is fantastic. I think it's the best thing that is here at launch.
Yeah, it's cool.
But then if you're playing the other like Grand Prix online, that is a fucking, have you messed around with that at all?
I don't understand how it works. Is it a standard 4-race Grand Prix? Because it was...
No, it's not.
It didn't seem like it was where you're all checking scores and you're doing 4 races to see who's going to win. It seemed like it was all one-offs.
It's just endless. It's endless. You queue into a lobby and then you continue to race until you drop out of the lobby.
What's the point?
Well, you get points, like competitive points. So you're just growing your points, and then the higher your points, the better racers you're going to get into.
I will say a Grand Prix in Mario Kart probably online probably doesn't work because everyone probably drops. Like they race one, I took last, see you later, and it probably just fundamentally doesn't work.
Right.
So like maybe that makes sense, but I don't know. I did it and I voted on like what dumb fucking course I was gonna go race, and it was fine.
Well, that's the problem. That's the inherent problem with the way that this thing works. So you're not, you have the opportunity. It's like like you said, it's like a group wide selection with everybody that's in the instance gets to pick what race they want to do in a generalized place on the map. So it's not going to show you all the options on the entire map. It's going to show you where you're at the time, and it's going to give you a list of maps that you can choose based on that.
Sure.
And then everyone votes, right? And sometimes it will just be the in-between, not a proper track, but it'll be like the in-between area between one track and another, because it's all interconnected, right? So there are situations where you're racing on like a straight up straightaway that just has like boost pads and like traffic. And like those are decently fun, but there's like drifting is like the core, the most integral part of Mario Kart. And there are serious races where you don't drift at all. And then once you finish that and you get to the actual track that, like a proper track, you do one lap on that track. It's not a 3-lap race. You get one fucking lap on that track. And then you get to go back and pick again. And it's the same thing. So you get into the situation where it's like 4 fucking races potentially where you're like, I'm just on a straightaway, which is not, it's not a bad time, but it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. So the tech that no one explains, but sweaty nerds have figured out, is that if you everyone picks random, then it will give you a higher percentage to not select those in between tracks and directly put you on a proper Mario Kart track, right?
But everyone's got to get on board.
Yes. And there's a lot of 7-year-olds that play Mario Kart. So you get like, and to be fair, like maybe you've got like a 7-year-old savant at Mario Kart that's like in the upper echelon. You would think like when you get into the higher SR or racing points, you know, all of the best players are going to know this and be like, okay, this is, but like the way that it is designed, like I understand why they designed it this way, because they've got this, that was the hook of the game, is it's like everything is connected. And when you're in the free roam mode, you drive from one point to another, and you're just on the fucking highway, basically, Mario Highway, to get to the next proper track. And then you drive up to that track and it's there and you can just drive around it freely. And in free roam, that makes sense. But the way that it is designed in competitive races makes no fucking sense, because you're just like, okay. And so my experience is like, if you're at the bottom of the pack, like very far behind, like in 22nd place or something like that, you're obviously going to get a lot of nice items that are going to hopefully get you further up in the pack, right? And that's good. And if you're in front, like you described, you get fucking nothing besides coins, which do increase your speed. And that's the only benefit of the coins.
But if you're in first, you probably are maxed out on coins or close to it.
Yeah. And if you're in the middle of the pack, you're just getting fucked, dude. just constantly fucked.
Because the guy in 24th is a bullet. And you aren't getting...
and it's just like there's this like this inherent imbalance with the way that this game functions that kind of boggles my mind, because it's like, you figured it out. You had in most people's minds, the greatest Mario Kart, like arguably between Double Dash and 8 Deluxe, right? Those are the two that most people that really love these games would point to as the best in the series, right? And you had the blueprint and you fucking bungled it for the potential of pushing something new. It just does not work. And that leads into a bigger, kind of crisis that they're having, because it's like, yes, it's not reasonable to expect the amount of content. And this goes across the board with a lot of Nintendo games right now. Like Smash Brothers is in an exact same spot because it's a wealth of content with Ultimate. And it's like, how do you
make a new one?
How do you make a new one when you've got like so much, content in 8, and then you're doing different things with World, but World is just like fundamentally worse? That doesn't feel good. That's not the way a sequel should be. So like, you got to have more content at launch. So the fact that like Doug fucking Bowser and what is it, Shintaro Furukawa are like, we think that we're basing our prices based on what we think an experience is worth, and this experience is worth $80. Go fuck your mother. This is not worth $80. There's no way that you can justify that this.
I knew it wasn't gonna be worth $80.
Well, of course not. I knew that. I don't think any game is worth $80. I don't think that any game is worth $80. But the fact that they're doing this fucking like this pricing strategy is insane, when we've got Donkey Kong that's probably going to blow this game out of the water. Like, I'm just expecting that to be the case.
It's not $80.
No, it's not. And so it's just like, this doesn't make any sense. And they're in a lot of trouble when it comes to this stuff. And inevitably a new Smash Brothers is going to come out. Who are you going to add? Where were you? We've already expanded past Nintendo IPs. We're just going to like, all bets are off, and fucking here comes a new challenger, and it's John Madden from Madden Football or whatever. Like, what can you do to make that experience more compelling? You can't do it. Like, and so
I don't think you can't. It's difficult. You need some extraordinarily creative minds to come up with a hook.
Yeah, and Masahiro Sakurai has been open about how he has wanted to end his life because of the stress that he was put through developing Smash Brothers. So they got to pay him a boatload of money to get him to come back to do that. And like, what is Smash without Sakurai? I don't know. And so it's just a bigger issue that Nintendo's going to have in this generation, where it's like, World is a fundamentally worse experience pretty much across the board when you compare it to 8 Deluxe. And yes, maybe that not fair because that in itself was like an update of a game that came out on the Wii U initially.
Sure.
But I just don't know how you can justify launching something like this and not being like,
and
it's been in development for like 10 years reportedly. So it's like you could have put in a lot more this, and it's just not here, not at launch.
A lot of this changes if that free roam had went in, because then you would be here saying, yeah, Mario Kart Online sucks, and we would say, yeah, Nintendo Online shit always sucks. And then, but if it was then followed by, wow, free roam's incredible, there's secrets and shit everywhere, and I got to do all this stuff in every region. There's all this. I'm gonna be doing this quote open world game forever. And just no, I'm not.
Well, like what I was thinking when I was playing the free roam, I played a little bit today as well, just because it'd been a couple of days since I had played, and I was like, all right, I'll refresh my memory on this before I go and talk about it. I was just like, I was just thinking about like Odyssey in particular, and how that in a lot of ways is like a love letter to like older Nintendo, like those spectrum or shifts to like old school Mario platforming and things like that, where you go into the pipe and then it would turn into like Super Mario Brothers, that kind of shit, like just an homage to older games and things like that. I was like, if they would have done something like this with the free roam, where it's like, oh, I went into a fucking tunnel or into a pipe, and now I'm going to do one lap of like
Super Nintendo
or like Double Dash or something like that. Like, there are ways to make it really cool and get people frothing in the mouth being like, oh my God, I fucking did Baby Park again, which nobody would want because Baby Park is like one of the worst tracks ever. But like, things like that they could have done. They have a wealth of fucking history with the Mario Kart series. It's just not there. So, and you call it Mario Kart World? Like, come on, man. Like, this was your opportunity to be a love letter to Mario Kart and just like drive it home. And what's here is
we can have a Halo Infinite. We can have a Mario Kart World. There, no one. What's a name? Everything's fine.
I know. I'm just saying, like, do better. Like, I'm torn because, like, this game is not bad. Like, it's a fun time.
It's fun to play Mario Kart, and everything feels good. Like racing and doing all the Mario Kart stuff is fun. I mean, I will probably be playing it off and on for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter enjoys it, so it's fine. It's just I wish there was something that we were working towards, because it was fun in 3D World and Astrobot, like where we were like, we didn't get all the fucking bots in this one, and I got nothing here. So I'm just like, let's fucking play it. Let's do it. Right,
Waluigi as Dracula is really good.
What's that?
Waluigi?
You can be Dracula?
Yeah, he's got a Dracula costume.
Okay.
It's pretty good. And when he hits somebody with like a shell or something like that, he like jumps out of his cart and bats come out of his cape. It's pretty good.
That is good.
Yeah.
There is
an aristocrat costume. It's pretty good as well.
My wife really likes when you have a jump with a cow, which I don't know why there's a cow, but there's a cow.
What do you mean? Moo Moo Meadows, man. That's a classic track.
I understand that. It doesn't necessarily mean they need to be a racer. Like, that's the. I mean, but anyway, when you have a jump, he like jumps out of his thing and turns sideways, and his udders or her udders are visible.
Yeah.
And my wife just loves it, and she's like, udders, and dies laughing. It's
there is a lot of characters. I will say that's something, that's interesting about this is there's a lot of characters. Unfortunately, there's a lot of behind the scenes stats that are not surfaced to you. So there's a lot of carts you get. That's the other thing you can unlock we didn't talk about. You get coins, and every 100 coins that you get a new cart, right?
Sure.
There is a hilarious like exploit.
Are they all the same speed? Because it doesn't fucking tell me.
No.
Is there a way I can see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go and find a spreadsheet online.
Stop it.
I'm not joking. So the characters are So this is how it works. But none of this is surfaced in any menus or anything like that. The characters are separated, and this is to be fair, functioned similarly in previous games.
Okay.
But all the characters are separated by weight. So like the baby characters are obviously the lightest. Sure. And so your character influences your cart stats, which are surfaced. So when you can't think about it as like, what are the stats of the cart? the character is directly influencing the stats of the cart.
Sure.
So the cart's stats are not static. They always change based on the weight. But none of the stats that relate to the weight of the characters are surfaced.
And that's really, I don't think that's ever been serviced. Like we've always known Yoshi's quick out of the gate, right? Like that's always been a thing.
Right. But why is it not? Why?
Sure.
Can't you just tell me these things? Like, there's also like with really sweaty people, there are different stats on specific terrains that people are figuring out.
Mhm.
So that goes even further, where like your cart will, whatever, depending on what character you have and what cart you have and what terrain you're on, they're going to have inherent benefits and deficiencies, but none of that's surfaced. Some characters are faster in the water than other characters,
Right.
but you have to go online to find any of that shit. So like, why?
I assure you don't have to do that.
I think also like the meta is just completely stagnant right now because there's one cart that literally
Is way better.
99% of people are using, and it's good because of specific character weights as well. So you're getting
You need a
the
weight.
exact same like characters in that weight class and this cart. So it's just like, and you could put 2 and 2 together
Right.
because you're like in a lobby and everyone's like driving a lighter weight character with
Everyone's
this
in a
cart.
Corolla.
Yeah, and you're like,
what are we doing?
this is the way that this works. Like, what the fuck are we doing, dude?
What are we doing? Unbelievable. This is gonna be a long show, Jared.
Yeah, it's all right.
But
kind of a big show, you know. Switch
that
2
is-
coming out.
yeah, that's probably the Switch talk. After all that, where we basically were pretty negative, I'm glad to have it in my hands. I'm still glad to be like, well, I will play new things and hopefully they'll run better. So I'm still looking forward to stuff.
Day one purchase for me and you. Well, probably even more me. Yes, absolutely. I would recommend it. Somebody that's got a large catalog of Switch games that can go back and wants to play old Switch games, no brainer. Somebody that, you know, travels frequently and has Switch with them on a regular basis like myself,
Sure.
no brainer. If you've got the funds, buy this. You're not going to be disappointed. For 80 to 90% of people, this is a fucking wait and do not buy this.
Yeah, you just maybe they'll fix the Joy-Cons, who knows. We're gonna take a break. We'll come back. We'll make some cocktails, talk about some other games. All right, we're back. It's Mai Tai season.
Sure fucking is.
It's Father's Day tomorrow, and I was like, "Yep, that's what." I don't know how many, but that's what I'm doing. So then I was like, "Well, I don't think I made them last year. I think it was the previous year, but I got the stuff. Figured I should make them, sample it out on you, and yeah, they are still good. I still always laugh about Mai Tais in that this is like the proper recipe essentially, and then everywhere you go, they bring you out like fucking 12 to 14 ounces of Mai Tai, and it's all multicolored and everything. And it's just like, that's I mean, some of those are still good, but that's not the original. And this I think it's way better than most of what you get when you order a Mai Tai out. But places have a hard time giving you 3 ounces in your drink, right?
Well, it's also the ice too, because typically it's like the what's the word I'm looking for? Ice, not cubes, but like the little nuggets of ice, where you'll fill it up in like a big glass.
Oh yeah, true.
So it looks like it's a lot more liquid than it actually is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love a Mai Tai. Oh my god, dude! Fucking. When I was in Hawaii a couple of months back, we went to a place that on Waikiki that best Mai Tai I've ever had in my life, and fucking strong. And I'm not joking. I mean, it's incredibly expensive, like the most expensive state.
Yeah.
But for 2, it was like $60. So it's just kind of insane. But oh my god, it was fantastic, so good.
But if it's I mean, it doesn't sound like it was a 2 ounce cocktail.
No, it was a good size.
So,
yeah.
Because I mean, just your general is gonna be 2 ounces, and then this has dry curacao in it. I don't know the alcohol content on that, but I bet it's like 20% or something. So there's a decent amount of alcohol just in the base of this thing compared to other cocktails. But
Yeah,
Yeah, good stuff.
you can really taste the orgeat.
Mm,
Funny story. Before I knew it was pronounced orgeat, I went to
mm.
go get some from this like mixing place, and I was like, "Do you have any orgreet?"
Yeah,
And they were like,
that's
"Excuse me," and I was like, "Yeah, orgreet. I think it's like an almond.
ogre at.
It's like an almond liqueur or something like that." And they were like, "It's orgeat, or it's like an almond syrup, right?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's orgeat, you dipshit." He was really cool about it, but everybody has that moment, I think.
You can make your own, but some things it's like, oh yeah, you can really you should just make your own. But with Orgeat, I think it's kind of hard to make a pretty good one. It's not as easy as you think.
Have you tried before?
No, my brother-in-law was telling me about it.
Uh,
He tried, and then he went and bought what I told him to buy, and he was like, "Oh, okay, this is fucking way better."
If he can't figure it out, nobody can.
Yeah,
So,
it's just not happening. I was reading actually today on a subreddit, a cocktail subreddit, about these, and some people leave out the rock candy syrup, which I thought of you because you usually aren't as into the sweet side, and so that would be all of the simple syrup would be left out, which is it's only a quarter ounce in this, but it's rock candy's like double the strength of simple syrup normal.
yeah,
So,
I hate rock candy like proper.
sure.
It's just like, what the fuck? Like
what are we doing?
this is old people candy in general. It's like,
Absolutely.
I'll have some gumdrops and some Necco wafers and some fucking
So-
rock candy.
But
No.
but the reason I thought is because someone's like, I leave that completely out and it brings out more of the citrus. And I was like, interesting. So I might try that tomorrow and use no sugar in it.
I like this quite a bit, and I'm not
Yeah.
like, oh god, this is too sweet or anything like that. Like
It's also a rum cocktail, and rum and sweet. I mean, then
well, rum inherently is sugar.
it
You know what I
just
mean? So
makes sense.
yeah, it definitely makes sense. It doesn't. This is not offensive to me in the way that an old fashioned is offensive
Got it.
to me.
Still working on that. One day. Well,
I think you were pretty disappointed didn't you make me one?
Yeah,
And I was just like, it's
I
fine.
was
And you're
ticked
like,
off.
God damn it.
I was like, fuck. All right, back to the drawing board. I'm still making that one. I really like that old fashioned.
It's
a good variation.
It's not
think
bad. It's just I don't know. The old fashions just I got to be in a very specific mood.
Okay, good deal. Tell me about Fantasy Life. This is on the Switch too.
It is
Um,
cross save as well and cross platform. So if you've got
cross save like everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
So you can transfer your save. There's like a little QR code on the home screen if you want to transfer it to a different console, which is nice because this is a life eater type game. And then all the online functionality in the game is every console together. So
one of our friends that we haven't seen for a while was just asking me, Brett, and he was hitting me up about the Switch because he had a pre-order. He's like, "You think I should keep it?" I was like, "I don't know, but you really liked Animal Crossing, so maybe listen to the Gamescast this weekend because I know Jared's gonna play Fantasy Life, and I think that's in that world."
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little reductive, but there are elements of it, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, fantasy. The full title is kind of shitty,
Weird.
but Fantasy Life I. This is technically the second game in the series. The first one is cult classic that came out on the 3DS that people absolutely love, and then they just released this like a month ago on all the platforms. So Fantasy Life the girl. I don't even know the name of the girl who steals time.
I think that's it. That's what I was gonna say because I was looking at it. I was thinking about buying it, and then I was like, I won't be able to play it enough. No way.
Yeah. So this is level 5, which I think level 5 is fantastic. They obviously have much more of a presence in Japan than they do in the US. Lots of games released out there that don't come here, but the ones that do come here, I generally really like. Both of the Ni no Kuni games, in particular. Yokai Watch back in the day was also pretty good.
I wish I'd finished Ni no Kuni. I played like half of it. I think it's cool.
Game's fantastic. I really like 2 as well. That's not the same as the first one, but I really like 2 as well. So Yeah, so this thing is wow. There's a lot to go over here, Nick.
Okay, let's do it.
It is an incredibly complex game. There is a lot going on here, but at its core, it functions with this loop, or this is the way that the game functions. There are 14 lives, which are basically jobs, right? There are a handful of gathering jobs. There are a handful of combat related jobs,
Mhm.
and then there are a handful of like resource manipulation jobs that create things, right? And at the beginning of the game, you can choose one job, and you start your life in this little town, and there is like a large, very robust JRPG story that goes along with this, that deals with like time travel and things like that.
Mhm.
But you start the game off and you pick one job, and you really just like, for instance, I picked
They're all available to you. You can pick any of them.
all of them excluding 2 at the beginning of the
Okay.
game. So 12 at the beginning of the game, and then the additional 2 unlock when you get further in. And you can pick one and focus on one, or you can go to, there's like a job guild,
You can
life guild.
switch.
You can switch them.
Okay.
Yes. And that's what I'd recommend for most people. I think that like it's a cool idea to focus on one, but the reality is you can focus on all of them and level them all up, and they synergize with one another mightily. So like you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you're not fully utilizing everything.
Switching back and forth.
Yeah. So like for instance, I started with wood cutting, which was a choice.
Okay.
But yeah, so
You'd always been interested in it. The people just took down your trees, and you're like, "How do I do that? Maybe this game will help me." I don't know.
no, I started it because I was like, well, wood presumably is going to be a valuable resource, right? So I was like, this is probably going to benefit me in one way or another, and it absolutely does, right?
Sure.
So yeah, you start the game, and there is a guild house for every job system in the game, and you go to the guild and you talk to the guild master, and the guild master will basically give you a list of quests to complete. So it'll be like, go out and cut down trees, right? And once you do this, you get experience towards the job, and then as you get a certain requisite amount of experience, you level up in that job, and you get a different title, which unlocks different abilities and different things that you can do in that job
I
category.
mean, this is all very familiar.
Yeah,
as
for
far as
sure.
Systems work.
It's very familiar. The thing that I think is very compelling about it and really fun when we're talking about the job system in the game is they all synergize with one another. So, like I said, like yeah, you have a wood cutting ability, but that is only a half step or a half measure if you're not also a carpenter, right? Because you're going to take all that wood and you're going to take the wood and craft it into things that are going to level up the carpenter life as well, right? I'm going to stop calling them lives right now because it hurts my brain. They're just jobs, but they're called lives in the
This
game.
is the exact arc I went through in Final Fantasy 14, just so you know. So
Okay.
as soon as I was like, hey, I want to get into making this thing. And then I was like starting to level it up, and I was like, oh, well, now I can't even make this ring because yes, I did woodworking, and now I have to do this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an MMO.
There are a ton of MMO qualities to this game for sure. And the way that it's executed is fantastic. It's really, really compelling. There is a level of kind of monotony when it comes to the actual like resource farming, but it gets better and is satisfying the more experience you get. I should also mention there's a skill tree for every job, right?
Sure.
So you get points when you level up a skill. That's separate from getting a new title in a skill, right? The new title is like a big step up where you complete requisite objectives, and then once you get that new title, it unlocks a ton, like depending on the job. Like if you're a carpenter, for instance, you're going to get a ton of new recipes of things that you can craft, right? So you definitely kind of want to focus on both at the same time. But as you level up an individual trait or job, you get experience points or ability points, I should say, that you go to a huge skill tree. There are 64 or 65 skill nodes in each individual tree.
Mm.
And they all give you different benefits, right? And some of them are more granular, where it's like you get more experience every time you cut down a tree, which is going to obviously speed you leveling up. But then there are also ones where it's like, this is a completely new ability that's going to allow you to cut down this tree much faster, right? And it's very satisfying. And the way that it kind of functions, every job is different, but I'll say of everything that you're going to do in an individual category of jobs is different, right? So like all of your gathering jobs are going to function pretty similarly in how you gather the resources. And it basically boils down to a mini game. So with the tree cutting, for instance, you walk up to a tree, you hit the A button, and then you'll kind of ready up with an axe. And then you're on a 360 radius and you move around the tree, and it kind of functions in like a dumbed down Fortnite, where like, I don't know if you're familiar, where like
Never played it, but I've been
Okay.
meaning to for this podcast because I hear great things. People seem super into it.
So in Fortnite, there are like, you can go up to a tree and harvest the tree or whatever it is that you're harvesting. And there's going to be a sweet spot that if you find that sweet spot, you're going to do more damage to that object.
Okay.
And if you're playing like, you know, optimally, you want to find that sweet spot as quick as you possibly can to harvest that resource as quick as you possibly can.
I feel like one of those survival games we played also had something like that too.
Yeah, Rust.
Yes,
Rust has
yeah,
that
yeah,
exact
yeah.
same feature. So it works similarly to that, but because this is kind of like a pseudo isometric game with top-down experience, like again, there's a 360 radius around the tree once you select that you want to cut down the tree, and you hit the X button to find the sweet spot, and then you harvest the tree, right? And on paper, especially when I first started playing it, I was like, I don't know if this is enough. Like, this could get potentially pretty repetitive. And it is repetitive, but the way that the game kind of progresses and how they inject new abilities, it's just constantly satisfying, because it's like, okay, I leveled up, and now like I have this charge up ability with the axe where I charge up, and then if I hit the sweet spot, I do massive damage. All of the trees, all of the resources in the game have an HP bar, right? And the way that and all of the resources have a specific level, right? So an oak tree that's level 10, right?
You can't even get it if you don't. If you
No, you can, but the kicker is, it might, if you're under leveled for that resource, the health bar on that resource, it fills up over time. And you have SP is what it's called. So it's like basically stamina. And if you expend all your stamina, then the resource is just constantly filling its health back up. So you have to kind of find like a perfect mix of like maintaining your SP while farming this resource, right? And
level 10 oak tree.
No, it gets better. Just wait.
I live by Liberty Park. Nothing but level 10 trees.
Yeah. Oh, it gets much better, Nick. You just wait. But yeah, so it's very satisfying when it's like I'm level 15 oak cutter or wood cutter, not oak cutter. And I just took down this level 30 palm tree because I just like slowly.
It's satisfying.
It's incredibly satisfying because you're watching the health bar of the resources just at the top of the screen, and it's slowly filling up, and you're looking at your SP and you're like, oh, can I make it? And you're charging. And then as it progresses, you get even more powerful abilities that help you farm those resources more effectively, where there's like a special, you get a gauge that fills up, and then you do this like massive chop where the character spins around and like charges the axe up and hits the resource, and it gives you like damage numbers where it's like, you just hit it for fucking 30,000 damage, and you watch the health bar drain. So
to what end are you out here? Like what's your goal in life?
There's a lot there.
Okay.
So really the game is full of options in terms of like what you want to do, right? Like if you want to focus on just harvesting wood and being a carpenter and just crafting materials and taking those materials and decorating you get an island.
Okay.
And you can decorate the island just like Animal Crossing. or you can take them and sell them to various vendors, or you can. There's an art museum that you get at one point in time.
Okay.
And depending on the level of your crafting, there's an artist job in the game as well, which helps you craft art, and then you put it in your art gallery, and then
level 10 painting.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll go into like how those function, because they function differently than the resource gathering jobs. And then you can sell them and make money, right? And to what end? So there's a couple of different objectives that you have, right? One is like getting your jobs up as high as you possibly can and having that loop continue. And I think that it's incredibly satisfying if you can get over that this functions very much like any MMO would, where it's just like some of those things can get a little monotonous. But again, I think that the way that it's implemented here kind of steers you away from a lot of that monotony. When you first start playing it, you're going to be like, at least when I first started playing it, I was like, no, like now
this isn't going to be it.
But so many people were like, I love the first game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. People that I respect were like, I fucking love the original Fantasy Life, and read reviews, and people were like 10 out of fucking 10. Like, this thing is like all of the things I loved about the first Fantasy Life on steroids. And so I was like, okay, so there's got to be something here.
Gotta find it.
I got to find it. And it's absolutely here. This thing goes places. So you early on in the game, you get an island that functions very similarly to what you're going to see in Animal Crossing, right? With the difference being, I mean, all of those things are the same. You can kind of fine tune your island the way you want it. The way that it works is hilarious too, because you get a robot early in the game.
Okay.
And he basically you take control of the robot, and he can terraform the island to your liking, so you can just like bulldoze things and get it the way you like.
For free?
Huh?
For free?
Well, yeah. You have to have like, objects and things to place in the world that you craft and things like that.
But the terraforming, you can just go wild.
Yeah, you can just fucking bulldoze things, and it's super fast too, which I really like. It could get really kind of tedious, but he just like, he flies in the air.
He knows his trade.
Yeah. He's a tradesman.
He's good. He's
part of a union. He's doing well. Great benefits. And you upgrade the robot as you progress through the story as well, which is satisfying. But yeah, so in Animal Crossing, when we're talking about the island, I think that Animal Crossing is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But Animal Crossing is such a dumbed down experience in comparison.
I was going to say, like, it always felt like it had like the training wheels on it. It never let you do enough. And it was just like a very carefully curated package, which was fun, especially in our state at the time that thing came out.
Yeah.
But it was always just like, man, you guys could really have fun with this shit. Why don't you?
Yeah. So in Animal Crossing, it's like, it's kind of the luck of the draw when it comes to, I don't know if you remember, but you'd just be kind of hanging out. You'd get to a certain threshold with that asshole Tom Nook, and then some dickhead would be like, I'm a rhinoceros and I'm here to live at your island. And you could tell him to leave. Or you're like, well, I got a cat and I got a koala, and I think a rhino would fit in well with the demographic here. So we'll put you in, right? So it was random like that. That's not the way this functions. So in the game, and it's really like just tugged on my nostalgia strings, because it functions very similar. And this is a deep cut that most people have probably never even played. But there's a game series called Dark Cloud on the PlayStation 2. And
it's the improperly labeled Zelda killer, because the dude looks like Link.
It's a really good game. At the time,
and people were like, look, it's It's a Zelda killer.
Was nothing like Zelda.
I don't think it is. I don't think that's its intent.
You would go. So there were dungeons in Dark Cloud, and the whole premise of Dark Cloud is you were building up this town that had basically been ravaged by this genie. And as you went into dungeons, you would unlock different parts of the town, right? And the way that it worked was like you'd go to a dungeon, you fight like a boss or do the dungeon crawling aspect, and then you would basically get this like ethereal cloud, and then you'd go back and unlock it like kind of gotcha style, where there'd be like a sequence where it would pop up and it'd be like, I got town hall, fuck yeah, town hall's here now. And then you could place it where you wanted to, right? This game does that, but not with buildings. It does it with characters. Cool. So there is a lot like that you're going to do in the story that's going to allow you to unlock, you get these like characters that have been transformed into like random objects where it's like, I got a pot that's a man, you know? So like similar to Beauty and the Beast, I guess, you know, it's like fucking Lumiere. Okay. And then you take it back to your island. You take the object back to the island, and there are these flowers that grow, and they grow once a day. So you have to farm these flowers, but the robot, you just hit LB and he just like pulls out a vacuum and sucks them all up. So like that's something that I should highlight
robot
too.
Sounds so good.
He's really good, and he's just super fast. So like anything that you'd be like, I don't want to have to fucking like this process to be slow. I just want to spit fucking benches and like fire pits and shit on my island really quickly. And he's like, I got you, bro. Like just shoots them out, and it's very nice. But these flowers that you are harvesting from your island, and then also there are daily missions that you do, and every single time you do a mission, you get like 5 to 10 flowers based on that. The flowers are then used to unlock or reverse this curse on these characters, and once you reverse the curse, they're on your island, right? And they're
still a pot, or
they turn into a humanoid.
This is straight up Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, they revert back to their human form, and they all do different things for you. You can put them in your party. You can have 3 characters, including the player character, in your party at any given time, and they all fall into the jobs that you can have, right? And the cool thing about them is they all do like, they have like a affinity system here, which is pretty much like it's the way I want an affinity system to work. I like, you can give them gifts, but you can also just fucking ignore it and be like, let's go beat the shit out of some fucking rabbits in a field.
And your affinity will go up that
It'll go up that way too. But as they unlock, or as they progress, I should say, they all have unique abilities that affect whatever you're doing. Like if it's if like say I'm a woodcutter and I put a woodcutter in my party, they'll help me cut down a tree, right? Not advised. Don't do that. I learned that pretty early on. That's not really worth it. But more importantly, there are a lot of combat jobs in the game that these characters can also have. And those are the ones that you really want to put in your party that you're going to go out and journey around with. Right. So, and they get fucking OP as fuck. And they all, like, once you get to a certain level of affinity with them, they all have like a very specific ability. So it's been really fun to find the character that works the best, because it's like, this guy just fucking created a wormhole in space and dropped a meteor on this asshole, and that was really satisfying.
Are certain characters better with certain classes? So like, is the pot dude a really good electrician, or like, you know what I mean? Like, do they have
the pot dude's a cook naturally? Okay. And that's kind of the way. Yeah, we'll get into that now. It's just, there's just a lot to go over. It's a massive game. We're not, this is going to be a long segment. Okay. We're just not scratching the surface here, man. So like, yeah, I guess we'll talk about that now. So like I mentioned with the gathering, there's a woodcutter, the miner, and then the fisherman, which you'd love. You'd love it.
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like fishing.
Again, if you have one of those characters in your party, then they will help you with whatever job you're doing. And then the combat, there are three or four combat classes. And those ones just go into combat with you and fight. and then there are like craftsmen as well.
Mm.
And the way that you craft things, there's a mini game, and the mini game is different than what I described with the resource gathering, where it's different but similar. Where you go into like a screen where there are three objects in front of your character, and there is like at the top of the screen there will be like an icon for that corresponding object that's in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to cycle between them very quickly because there's a timer that quickly ticks down, but you can level it up and make it slower as the game progresses. And it's basically just like a rhythm game more than anything else to quickly get through it as fast as you can. The faster you do it, the better quality the item is. And the characters that like a tailor or a cook that fit into that, they will basically be in the background and they boost your stats. So every item has got like a requisite number. So it'll be like, if I want to craft this fucking tuna sashimi, I've got to be, it takes 400 cooking points to do it, right? So my skill level has to be close or above that for me to effectively craft this sashimi. And the characters, as they help you do these jobs, they will level up and they will give you boosts to that number. So it's like, okay, I've got 2 cooks helping me cook this thing,
Mm.
and each one of them is giving me 60 plus to my cooking.
Just what I fucking want when I am having sashimi. 3 people applying themselves to the sashimi, the cooking of it, just the entire preparation of the sashimi.
Yeah,
Very needed.
It's kind of silly and stupid, but when you get into the higher levels of crafting, it's very fast paced. Like the mini game does not pull any punches. It's not easy. Like
Sure.
it goes fast, and you got to really like memorize like what the fuck's going on, right? So that's kind of how all of those function. The other part of the game, obviously, there's a story here, and
Is it good?
No, it's not good. The story, I mean, it's pretty robust, but like it's just kind of, it's not the draw for this thing. But it's robust, and you're gonna probably put 25 to 30 hours to get through just the story segments of the game. There's combat in this game as well, like, and surprisingly pretty challenging combat. This game has got a very like cutesy art style that I'm not a huge fan of, which is
it's kind of like the reason I didn't buy it. When I looked at it, I was like,
yeah, it works for what it is, but it's not my favorite art style by any means. But it's a cutesy art style, but the combat is pretty tough. It can be really tough.
Joke.
It's no joke. Yeah. And it's pretty, I mean, it's not the deepest combat system in the world, but it's deep enough where you're like, I'm a great sword user in the game, of course. And, yeah, like as you progress through that job, you get more abilities and different attacks and things like that. And there's enough here where you're like, oh yeah, this is pretty detailed and pretty in depth, right? Yeah. So you finish the story, and that's really when the game opens up and gets fucking intense. So
the end game essentially.
Oh yeah, yeah. So your objectives in the end game are obviously leveling up all your jobs, getting through that. Then there are like, do you remember? This is a weird comparison, but do you remember like the chalice dungeons in Bloodborne? Yeah. So there's,
I never like. I did not care for them.
Yeah,
but I played a decent amount of them.
Yeah. So there are these randomly generated dungeons that you go through, and it's basically a roguelike for all intents and purposes, where you're going in and you can kind of choose how it's timed. So you have an hour to get through it, and you can choose to do multiplayer with this, or you can just do it solo with like a team of NPCs. And you kind of, as you progress, there are like different rooms, and all the rooms have different objectives, right? So it's like you go to one room and it'll be like catch 10 fish or whatever, or it'll be like farm ore in this room. But that's not all that you have to do there. Like, to get to the next floor, there's an objective, but there's lots of things spread out in these rooms. So it's like I'm mining ore to get to the next room, but there's also a ton of trees and fish and combat encounters that I have to go through here. They're pretty fun, and they are pretty complex, and yeah, like each time you do one of these dungeons, you're going back in time. So I think at least as far as I understand, the cap is 1,000 years in time, but every floor is like 10 years. So you start at 100 years in the past, and then as you progress, it gets progressively more difficult and more difficult as you go further down, right? But it's a pretty big time investment, and you're going to get a lot of like good resources that are going to continue to check boxes and get you higher levels in your job. So that's pretty compelling. And then the biggest fucking thing with this game that is kind of insane that this is here on top of all the things that I've just described is this continent called Ginormosia, which is a terrible name.
Okay.
And this is really,
I don't know how to spell that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That is really where the biggest aspect of multiplayer comes into this. Like I said, you can do like the randomly generated dungeons with people, but it's this massive open area, and it's huge, right? And it actually functions a lot like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, where there are shrines where you are solving puzzles and doing things, and the puzzles are much more.
I was going to say, are these good puzzles?
Well, puzzle might be a stretch. There are some shrines that do have puzzles, and they're pretty basic. But there's also like combat encounters and things like that. It's a mix, just like you would see in those Zelda games. And the reward for beating those, which is much more satisfying than fucking Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, is you get another one of these characters that you go take back to your shrine or to your home base, and you bring them back to life, and they are now part of your island, right? But once you unlock a shrine, there are these eyeballs that basically they function as like towers, more or less. You unlock one of them, and then that opens up a piece of the map, right? And in that area, there's a level, right? And any activity that you do, and there's activities constantly popping up. It's just spamming you with like, hey, go over here and do this, like go and farm ore in this area, and you'll get points for the overall level of this area, right? And once you get to a certain threshold, you can level up the area, which allows you to face more and more difficult encounters in that area.
And this retains itself from play to play?
Yeah, it's persistent.
Yeah, that's the word. So you'll do good work today, and tomorrow you're going to still have that level.
Yes.
So you are building these things.
Yes, you're building out these individual areas, and there are 10 levels per area, and it requires you to grind quite a bit in those individual areas. But once you get them up pretty high, things are incredibly challenging, right? And this is where the big end game hook comes from, where there are these like legendary items in these areas, and your goal is to level up the areas and then also search these areas. And it's a fucking massive open. Like I'm not overselling it. Like it is massive. Like you spend a good amount of time in this open environment in the game. Just leveling up those individual areas. And you can bring in people, right? So you bring it like you can choose to just like queue up in a group of people, and everybody can like kind of type in or explain like what they're looking for, and you can kind of agree. Or if you're friends, obviously you can just,
You're playing on the Switch.
No, I'm playing on PC.
Oh. Okay.
So you can play this for free, Nick, if you want to, and it runs well on the Steam Deck.
Well, when you say you can type in, so then you would prefer to be playing it on the PC.
Yes, I don't know how it works on any other platforms, but on PC, you can just like press down on the D-pad, and then it brings up like a text box, and it says type in what you want to type in. Okay. So, it's really compelling when you're in these environments. Like, yeah, you're doing the things that I just highlighted in these environments, but the thing about it is that if you do certain there are these items that you find in the environment that are legendary items, and they are like, fuck, I've only crafted one so far, and I put like 75 hours into the game. Granted,
according to how long to beat, you should be done or so close to it. 85 hours for completionists.
That's bullshit.
Okay,
that's not even remotely accurate.
I'm just
I think that you could put at least a month or two into this game, and like I haven't been struggling. Like
Sure.
like there are challenging things in this game, but like most of it's you can get through it. But it's really fun. Like it's really fun to do these kind of like contained areas with a group of people, because like I said, you unlock, once you get this item in the area, there's like specific really hard to find mats, and you have to kind of work together and do these like kind of events like somewhat similar to like what you would see in Destiny.
Sure, that's what it sounds like.
And then once you do a number of them, then this big one will crop up in this individual area. And then if you go take that down, then you have a chance to get some of the mats that you need to craft one of these items, right?
Yeah.
And so this game's huge. This game, there is a lot to sink your teeth into here. I think you could easily just spitball and probably invest 200 hours into this to get it all done. And I'm incredibly high on it. I think it is fantastic. I really see why people love this thing as much as they do. I've had a ton of fun with it. I don't think I'm going to stop playing anytime soon. I really just, every single time I log in, it's like there's something else to do. Like there's something else to kind of go for.
Trees that have to be felled.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's hilarious. Is there a boss? There are boss
trees.
Yes, I'm not joking about that.
It's an int.
Yes, there's like these, and it's not just trees. There's fish and ore mining spots that are bosses, right? And they're indicated as such on the map with like a crown above the item or the area where you're gonna farm. And once you engage with it, like this fucking crazy music starts playing, like this super epic like JRPG music, and you have to you basically fight this tree, which is hilarious. Yes. And once you beat it, you get all these rare mats.
Yeah.
Also, randomly, the track list here, some of it is really bad, and I chalk that up to like half of the music was composed by Nobuo Uematsu.
Okay.
From Final Fantasy, which is hilarious that he's just like, I don't know, making music for fantasy life.
Dipping his toe. He had some downtime.
Yeah.
And he was whatever.
So it's like, and I've checked the track listing and I'm like, I like this one. Nobuo. I like this one. It's him. It's him. I don't like this one. It's not him. And I'm like, oh yeah, it seems like this guy knows what he's doing.
I'm gonna have to go listen to it.
Some of it is absolutely terrible, and then other songs are kind of also out of place when you compare it to other stuff. So
interesting.
Very high on this thing. It's a lot to talk about, but goddamn, man, I really, really like this game. I highly recommend it for anybody that likes these just like almost endless loops of resource gathering, management, crafting. I think that it will be hard inevitably when Animal Crossing comes out to really not have a pretty negative opinion of it unless they really change, which I don't think that they will, because that's what Animal Crossing has always been. Yeah. And so it's just like when you compare this experience to Animal Crossing, it's not even fucking close. Not even close.
Interesting.
So that's all I got. But
goddamn,
it's a really good goddamn game. Go play it if you like those types of things.
If I have an extra 80 hours, I will jump in.
Well, like I said, it runs really well on the Steam Deck, so you can like dip your toe and just check it out and see if it's something.
That's probably that's good, because I do a whole lot of that shit right now in my current situation, and oh boy, you've really caused me some problems with this 100-line game.
Okay.
Last we talked, it was last week. I was the whole game's kind of like, we got to make it to 100 days, and I was like at day 70, and I was a little, if you want to know about how the game functions, go back and listen to that episode, because I'm not going to talk about a lot of that right now. But at the time I wanted to be further because I was just like I know who's making this game. I've played the Virtue's Last Reward games, 999. Like these fuckers, they do shit and they do complicated things with timelines and story, and it's going back to kind of like the way like 999 worked is in order to get the true story, you had to do all these divergent paths to then get important information that helps you on other paths and stuff like that. It was always a really interesting kind of spider web that they were able to craft in those games. And I expected it in this game, and you absolutely get it. In a way that's like almost like, what is it when it's like their best work, magnum opus or something like that? Mm-hmm. Where I'm just kind of like, what the fuck have they done? Because you play through the game, 100 days, pretty linear story.
Yeah, you had mentioned that there were like no choices.
None. 100 days, and then you don't get you get an ending, you get credits. You don't necessarily have a happy ending, but that is essentially how that ended. But the catch is, yes, slight spoilers. I'm not going to do anything too crazy, but like your character gets the ability to go back and redo it all. And that's what he does. And so he has that information. So he's like, hey, I'm going to go redo the whole fucking 100 days. And I have all this information and I'm bringing all my skills with me. And they do that.
Does it speed up in like?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And in ways that I have beat the game 3 times now after that 100 days. And then the next few went about 30 or so. The reason I went 30 or so is 100% because of decisions. Everything where it was like there's no decisions in the game, now there's all of the decisions in the game. And sometimes with these games, like I feel like what we complain about when we play the Dragon Ages and the Avowed is that there's nothing actually there, and you get funneled to the same point at the end. Or that a lot of your decisions don't end up feeling meaningful enough, and you don't get enough story about it, and it's just like, well, you knew where you wanted me to get. That's not how this works at all. Like, not at all. Your decisions are very gray, and they have catastrophic consequences that cannot be duplicated. I mean, I've only done there's 100 endings, I believe. They cannot be duplicated, and there's an enormous amount of lore. Like, we're not talking like I made a decision. Oh, game over. Here's credits. It's like I made a decision, and we did narrative for 30 minutes, and then battles, and then I'm still leveling up everyone. And like one of my people's, I put him in prison because I knew he was a bad egg, and he's been in prison this whole playthrough. But I could have not put him in prison, or I could have killed him. Like I'm kind of just like blown away at what the potential of this branching story is. And I've only done 3, but it's going quickly now, right? I did the line, and now I'm like going back one step at a time of the line I did. But the line I did is only the one. There were a lot of probably large divergent paths once I stepped back far enough. And I'm kind of just like, is this like the greatest choose your own adventure that's ever been made? Maybe. And I can't like the story. I mean, fully engaged with the story. It goes some fucking places, and you learn a lot about the other people. And I'm just absolutely hooked. It's all I want to play right now. That's it.
It's interesting decision that, like, especially going back to what we talked about the last time we talked about this, was like the devs were like, yeah, you can just get an ending and then be done. It doesn't sound like that would be
absolutely fucking not
particularly satisfying.
Like, and then even to say like you do the one end, absolutely not. There's so much left on the table. Also, like if you're with someone that likes to upgrade your characters fully, like you can see the skill trees, you can see what you can do. You don't remotely scratch the surface at the end. And I absolutely I have my favorites. I have it's fucking crazy. Characters die immediately, obviously, in the first playthrough. And they don't die in the second one. Now they're just back. And you're just like, I get to play with these fucking this is the biggest one. The mascot,
Yeah.
he fucking dies, right? The whole game, it's like he dies right away. And then you like listen to this recording of him, and then he's never guiding anything.
Mhm.
And through all these milestones for your first 100, he's like at like 25 or 30, he's like, I have a reward for you in this room. And you're like, well, we're not gonna fucking reward, he's dead. And then he like celebrates all these different things, and you don't get any of that. And then you replay the game, and then you like avoid his death. And now he's back. And now he's here like fucking with shit. And you're just like, well, what the fuck? Like, I thought he was like, I don't know, like they just like wrote him out. They're like, we're not gonna have him be an active part. But then he's an absolutely hugely active part after credits. And you play again, and you're like, what is going on?
Is there a way to track like the divergent story?
Oh, there's a whole grid.
Okay, good.
So that's what I'm saying. So like you can always see it. You go chapter select appears, and you can do it at any moment. You can just get bored of your path, and you could just be, let's go back to that other one. You could like keep inching them if you wanted.
Okay.
And you'd still be upgrading. Your stats are still going to stay. But the way I did it is I did one to the finish, and then I said, okay, well, I just made a decision, so let's go one day back, do that new decision, got an ending, and then I'm going to go back, and I'm going to backtrack that whole path.
That's nice.
And then I'm going to step up to the next one. And it's very clear like what paths you've chosen. All that is extremely easy to do. And there's just some shit that's like, it just kind of blew my mind. Like I had to pick who was going to be a suicide bomber, and I picked a fucking coward, and she blew it. And like the other one, well, I think I've now gone back. I didn't finish it before this recording, but I'm pretty sure this other person's going to succeed. And then what that's going to do, I have no idea.
Yeah. Imagine you, of all people, enjoying like a baseline story that is, you know, pretty standard, and then you finish a game, and then you've got to do a bunch of different storylines that are going to affect changes, like Nier, maybe.
It's shocking that I like this thing because it's kind of just built for me. But oh god, it's so good. I can't stop. I can't stop playing it. And maybe it'll change if I start to get a little bored. But so far, they do a very good job at feeding you new information about the story within each path, where you're getting just enough information about the world where I am pretty much invested. Like, this is a fucking crazy story and it's off the walls, but I would like to fully understand it. And it's really glad that you got me onto this thing, because every night I'm just like playing this, and my daughter's furious. She's just like, why aren't you playing Mario Kart? And I was just like, I had to make choices. Like she didn't do the bomb. I don't know. She's like, this game sucks.
Does it feel like this? I think, you know, in games, not Nier, but other games where there are like kind of divergent endings and lots of endings, some of them are just so unsatisfying where you're just like, this is like, why is this even here? This just feels like padding. So do all the stories that you have played feel
so like, they're not like that at all so far. So maybe because there's 100, so maybe there's some that I'm going to make a decision and be done at day 4. I bet that occurs, because if there's 100, you probably have some, right?
There might be one that's like day 1 where you're like,
absolutely,
credits,
you absolutely fucked it up. But the 3 I've done, which went to about day 30, were thoroughly fleshed out. We're talking an hour, 45 minutes of reading for each one, like in total. Like, it's a lot of story, like where they earn it. They completely earn the 3 I've done, and I will for sure keep reporting back on this thing, because I'm kind of like, this is maybe the greatest one of these that's ever been done, which super bums me out. When I first started playing it, the developer was like, if this doesn't sell, we're probably closing shop. And I'm like, well, that fucking sucks. This thing should probably sell.
Yeah.
So I pretty kind of blown away, and it's kind of this kind of a breath of fresh air. It's kind of a unique game to be playing, as opposed, like we talked about Summer Games Fest, and everything's like samey. This thing's not that, not at all.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool.
I need to get back to it.
I think you should. I think this is the one that you probably need to see more of it. And it's not. I mean, I'm 60 hours, something like that.
Okay.
And I think it was 100 or so if you want to check all the boxes.
Gotcha.
Which it feels like it would be unlikely that I won't check all the boxes at some point because it's one of my favorite things so far this year. Nice. And we're halfway through the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's wild to think about.
We made it. So that's what I've been doing. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. Death Stranding comes out, I think, in a week. I hate when games come out. Do they not know our podcast schedule? Like, I hate when they come out like 7 days into the off. Like, drives me nuts. But
I don't know if I'm going to touch that one.
I have to. I liked that first one.
I feel like you know, it's always the same thing with these games when they release, where it's like, is this a good time to jump in? And they're always like, yeah, it's a great time. But then when you talk to people that are, you know, diehard fans or listen to people talk about the game, they're like, no, you absolutely need to play the first one. And like the prospect of starting over, because I don't remember anything from the first one, starting over from scratch, playing that, and then getting into 2, that just seems like an insurmountable mountain.
I can tell you this. If I need to know information about the first Death Stranding for the second one, we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of fucking trouble.
That's fair.
Because I can't tell you any of the narrative. Like, it's not, it was too absolutely stupid shit.
Yeah.
I enjoyed most of it. I was like, in the moment, but none of it was good enough to really retain. I guess I'll like watch like a catch me up or something.
Yeah, it's also like all of the pre-release, you know, people, there was like a big swath of journalists that went to Kojima Productions in Tokyo and like had like 10 or 15 hours hands-on with the game. And they were like, it's Death Stranding. It's just more Death Stranding, which I'm like, I didn't love the first one. So I don't know if I'm going to love this one.
I'm looking forward to whatever stupid name he comes up where it's just like, oh, what's your name? I'm like, I'm Shrapnel Man. And then you're like, well, why do they call you that? It's like, I have shrapnel coming out of my body. And it's like, you sure fucking do.
That sounds like a problem.
Because that's like, there was a lot of that in Death Stranding where the name was just like, okay, all right, who allowed this to happen? Why did no one say don't do this? But like, whatever, it's fine. I don't know. Well, I'll probably play that, but there's stuff, I guess. I don't know. We should do like a. Actually, you know what I was gonna bring? It's your year for the Halloween show.
I
mean, when is that Silent? When is that
Silent Hill F?
I
don't know, but
about that.
It seems cool. I watched what they've shown off so far. It's been pretty contentious shifting it to Japan, but like, I don't know why that's such a surprise. Just because all of the other games have been set in the West, like it's a Japanese developed game, so it makes complete sense. It looks good, but it's also Konami, and you know, outside of like 2 or 3 of those games, they've all been pretty bad. So we'll wait and see. But I am like cautiously optimistic about that thing. But I don't know.
Should think about it.
Yeah,
it's. I mean, it's not soon, but it's.
Hopefully, I can pick a better one than I did last time.
Even though, Signalis, I think.
I picked Signalis, and people love that thing, and neither of us liked it.
Yeah. I mean,
I wish I wouldn't have played Crow Country, because that's very similar to Signalis in a lot of ways, and I fucking love that game. So yeah.
All right. Pick Fear. Fear 1.
No.
Fear.
No, I never played Fear. But I'm not going to pick Fear, Nick.
All right.
We'll see.
I think that's going to do it. That is Gamescast 154. Thank you for listening. If you want to come and interact with us, send us your pets, stuff like that, you should probably join the Discord. There should be a link in the show notes, or you can go over onto YouTube in the bio. There will be a link there as well. That's going to do it. Take it easy, guys.